Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This block is called 4-Way Stop. It's 12-inch finished. I found a picture of it and I saw that the name was called 4-Way Stop, but there was no other information and there was no link to anything. So that's all I know about this block. And the block is really 4 blocks that finish at 6 inches, and we put the 4 blocks together. And it consists of a light side and a dark side. So in this case, the light is the background and the dark are the half square triangles. And the same here. And in these blocks, the dark is the background and the light are the triangles. Here are 4 blocks set block to block. And if you watch the placement of the light and dark half square triangles, you get different designs. I'm going to set this up for myself as a scrap quilt. And so I'm giving you 2 different ways to cut it. This one, if you want to make it totally scrappy, you can use the patches. And there are AccuQuilt dies to cut all of these. And then the other method is to use jelly roll scraps, and I'll show you how to cut those. So for the patches, patch A is a 2-inch finished half square triangle. You cut 2 7/8 inch squares, cut it in half once on the diagonal for 2 patches. Patch B is a 2-inch by 4-inch finished rectangle, and we cut 4.5 inches by 2.5 inch rectangles. Patch C is a 2-inch finished square. We cut 2.5 inch squares. And this looks like a lot of fabrics, but if you think about it, it's 4 smaller blocks put together. So there's really 8 different fabrics in this one block. Down here we have using jelly roll scraps. If you want 2 alternating blocks that look like this, so the dark side is the mustard color and the light is the yellow, and here the colors are reversed. You'll need 1 light strip that's 2.5 inches times 25 inches and 1 dark strip that's the same size. We're going to cut each strip like this. Now I'm going to show you how to cut the patches, and then when we get to the half square triangles, I'll have a little tutorial that shows you 3 different ways to cut these, because these are half square triangles that we want finished at 2 inches, but we only have a 2.5 inch strip. And so there's 3 ways that I know of you can cut those half square triangles out of the strip. Now we're going to cut this strip. I have a full width of fabric strip here, or these 2 strips. This is my light fabric and this is my dark, and I have starched them and stacked them with right sides up. In this case, it doesn't really matter if it's right sides or wrong sides because it'll all cut the same. The first 2 patches are 4.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and the next 2 are 2.5 inch squares. So let's cut those. Whenever I'm cutting smaller pieces, I always use a smaller ruler. It's just easier to handle. So I'm cutting off the selvage, and our first 4.5 inch rectangle we'll cut here. Cut another one. And now we'll cut 2 2.5 inch pieces. Okay, so we have the lights and the darks, and we'll divide them up. Now I'm going to cut the half square triangles from here, and we'll need 6 sets of half square triangles. I'm going to use the folded corner clipper, which is one method that I'm going to describe in just a minute. The tutorial coming up that tells you how to cut these half square triangles 3 different ways is part of a video I did called Rick Rack, and it's a very popular jelly roll quilt. So I'll have a link to that. There's a link up here now, and I'll have a link in the description. Here's your tutorial. For this one, we line up the top edge, the side, and in this case the 2.5 inch mark. Normally you pay attention to this little vertical piece here, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to cut straight across here. Okay, and you continue cutting with this. Now you flip it this way, line it up, and cut. Flip it again, and cut. If you don't have the folded corner clipper ruler, and you have a ruler like this one has 45-degree mark that goes this way, and another one that goes this way. And where they intersect is right at the seam allowance. They intersect right here at this seam allowance. Also on this ruler, you can't see it too well, but there's a white line that goes across here. And this is the exact middle of the ruler, because this is a 12.5-inch ruler. And this white line is going to come in handy as we're doing our cutting. Here's our piece, and we need to get a total of 8 triangles, and it is 2 pieces together. So with this ruler, we're going to look at the 45-degree mark here, and we're going to line that up with this edge of the fabric. Now I've zoomed in some more, and you'll notice that where these lines intersect, this line goes across the top of this fabric. You line up this top part of the fabric, and then this is the 45-degree angle that's lined up with the left side of the fabric. And now we're going to cut. Let's move this away. Now to make your second cut, you keep it exactly the same position that it was in. And now we're going to use this top 45-degree angle. Line this 45-degree angle with the cut edge you just cut, and remember the little white line that goes across? We're going to use that line to line up this edge of the fabric. So 45-degree angle here and white line here, and cut. And there's your other 2 pieces. Then start again with the other angle down here at the bottom. Line it up with the cut edge of the fabric, and line up this seam allowance here, and then make your cut. The last method I'm going to show you is the one that's marked on page 1. And what we're going to do is measure 3/8 inch each time we take a cut. If you use this ruler, it has the 1/8 inch marks on them. Each one of these marks on this ruler is 1/8 of an inch. And you look at the picture. So we're going to measure here at the top, right here. And I like to, you can get big on here if you don't watch it. So the 3/8 inch marking, I like to put just on the outside of the fabric. So here's 1, 2, 3, the third one, and this is lying just along the outside edge of the fabric. And then I'm going to place a mark here. Okay, so there is your 3/8 inch mark. So there's your measurement. Next, you'll take the 45-degree, the diagonal marking on this ruler, and you're going to rotate it so the diagonal mark goes at the bottom of this, the bottom edge of this fabric. We're going to line it up here, and then slide it over until the edge of the ruler hits that mark that you just marked here. And be careful that it's better to cut it a little bit smaller than a little bit bigger. So if you go over too much, you'll make it too big. So here I've lined up this mark here with the edge of the ruler, and I've lined up the 45-degree mark at the bottom of this fabric. And then we're going to cut. And let's compare it to our folded corner clipper. This is upside down, but that's okay. So let's put this on top, and it's pretty close. This is the least accurate method, but you can see it gets the job done. Now to get the next cut, we'll measure down here 3/8 of an inch. So there's your 1, 2, 3/8, and we're going to put the mark right here. Then line up this 45-degree mark with the cut mark and slide it until the edge of the ruler hits that mark we just marked, the 3/8 inch mark. So again, you're lining up the 3/8 you measured and the angle that you just cut. And there's your other piece. Let's do one more time. This one we'll measure at the top, the 3/8 of an inch. Line up the bottom edge with the 45-degree angle, and then meet where you marked your 3/8 of an inch. And I use my pencil to help me place the ruler right there, and then cut. I have all of my 6 half square triangles done, and all the nubs have been cut off and they're pressed. I didn't write step-by-step instructions on here because it got too confusing. Trying to put the placement of the half square triangles really requires that you look at this diagram, because I can explain it 1,000 times and it would still get confusing, because I kept confusing myself anyway. So choose one of these to look at. I always looked at this one here, and we're just going to lay the block out like that. As I was putting my test blocks together, I found that facing the half square triangles the same way helps me to put this together. So I started in the middle, and we have the half square triangle, the dark one is facing this way. And then we're going to put the light background on either side like this. This is actually the center unit of one of the 6-inch blocks. And then for the other, this would be the dark triangles. For the light triangle block, you just place the light triangle like this, always facing to the left. And then we put our squares for that block like this. So sew these two together. This is one block, this is another block. Sew the seams together and press the seams open. Okay, we have the center units of both of the blocks done. So take another triangle, and this triangle is pointing this way. So we put this up here, and we put another one down here. So we have all 3 of our triangles facing down and to the left. And we know that this is our light colored block, the light background. So these will go here, these rectangles. Then we'll sew the rectangles to this and this, press the seams open, and then we'll sew these 3 rows together to make one block. And here is the second block. We do the same thing. Place the triangles facing the same way, down and to the left, and then fill in with your rectangles. This was the easiest way I found to not mess it up. So, I mean, I can still mess it up easily, but this was the easiest way for me to not mess it up. So I'm going to go and put these blocks together. And here are the 2 blocks. And all of the half square triangles are pointing down and to the left. Now I would separate these and put them in different blocks, because I would just make it more scrappy. So I have some other blocks here that I was using as test blocks, and I'll just grab, let's see, this is a light block, this is a dark. I'm going to call this a dark block, and this is a light block. So we'll put them together like that. And then this is a dark block, and it will go opposite this. And this is a light block. So you could put this block together like this. And I would sew these 2 together and these 2, press the seams, and then sew the 2 rows together. Here are some other blocks for another one. And here is one of my test blocks. Here is one scrappy block. And when you put them together with your other scrappy blocks, you get double scrappy. Just pay attention to your light and your darks. You'll get the nice design with all these half square triangles, the light and the darks. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.